Story 1. Cats. My cats are just as loving and attentive as dogs, but they can take care of themselves if I leave for a day or two and are much cleaner in general. Story 2. Definitely a cat person. I respect an animal that looks me dead in the eyes, knocks my stuff off the table, and still expects to be fed like royalty. It is chaotic neutral energy, and honestly, I relate. Story 3. A cat person because cats are cute and fluffy. They clean themselves. Dogs make a lot of noise and they smell if you do not bathe them. Story 4. I am fond of both, but I prefer dogs. They tend to be more lovable and more of an experience. My dog is always happy to see me come home, but I have lived with cats, and there is a reasonable chance you just get contempt. Story 5. Both, but I lean more towards cats. I love how snuggly and sweet they can be, and they also don't take any nonsense and will defend themselves. Story 6. I would love to have a dog or a cat, but severe allergies to their saliva prevent me from having any. Maybe in the next lifetime. I have tried desensitization therapy, shots, pills, and more, you name it. In the end, the allergies win. I live vicariously through pictures and videos from friends, family, and the internet. Story 7. Cats. I grew up with cats. I have been bitten by dogs before. Once you train a cat to use the litter box, the only things that may annoy you are hairballs, which can be reduced by brushing them often and cutting their nails. Story 8. I like both equally. I have 2 dogs and a cat. All 3 love being around me and receiving attention. Each species offers something the other does not. Story 9. I was a dog person until I got a cat. Why? Because a dog is programmed to love you. With a cat, you need to earn that love. The moment when, out of the blue, they jump onto your chest or lap and start purring themselves to sleep is just magical. The cat makes a calculated decision to love you. Respect it, and it will respect you. I am convinced that those who say they hate cats don't actually hate cats. They hate boundaries. Story 10. I used to have only dogs. Then a mother cat showed up and gave birth to 3 kittens under my porch. She stayed until they were old enough to be on their own. Then she left. I named her offspring Snap, Crackle, and Pop. The mother cat returned a few months later and had another litter. These I named Saints Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Christopher. The mother cat was not feral. She had a collar and was very friendly. Then a neighbor's female cat dropped off the result of her poor choices. 2 more kittens. At this point, I also discovered that another neighbor owned an unneutered male cat who was fathering these kittens. Of course, none of these neighbors were willing to accept responsibility. In fact, the male cat owner moved away and left him behind. He was a beautiful Maine Coon. I contacted a feral cat organization. They trapped and fixed all the cats. Some they kept and were adopted. Others they returned, but later, when I sold my home, I called them again, and they relocated the remaining cats to a farm. I imagine they are still there. In the end, only 2 cats were left. I'm not sure what happened to the others, but I suspect coyotes, unfortunately. After running my cat orphanage, I developed a fondness for the kittens. However, I would still always choose a dog. I lost my dog shortly after moving. He was quite old for his breed and developed major incurable health issues. I had to put him down. Since then, I have developed a very strong bond with my nephew's dog, a Jack Russell. But I do not currently have any pets of my own. When I am ready again, it will be a dog. Story 11. Cat person. They like a little loving, then go about their business. Dogs are too needy and attention hungry. They are wonderful and fun in small doses, but honestly, this dog I have now is likely the last. Story 12. I love them differently, but I prefer dogs more. I think they are more versatile. You can teach them many things. I have a cat and I love him, but if I did not have allergies, I would get a dog. Story 13. There is literally nothing else on earth like the bond between humans and dogs. I love all animals, but dogs are in a distant lead. Comparing them as equal to cats is disingenuous. Again, I love all animals and know that each one has the potential for uniqueness and attachment, but I would put cats closer to birds and rabbits than dogs. Story 14. Cats are generally easier to care for. Feed them, provide water, clean the litter box, and pet them. Dogs need to be walked, exercised, and have space such as a yard. Both are good. I just prefer cats. Story 15. I love both, but I prefer cats. They do their own thing most of the time and are less in your face craving attention than dogs. Story 16. Dogs. I have a pair of terriers that are the best ratters I have ever heard of. Perfect for keeping the pests at bay on the farm. Story 17. I am 35 years old and have never owned a pet since moving out at 18. I grew up with cats, dogs, fish, and hamsters. I love both cats and dogs, to be honest, but I just cannot be bothered to own any myself. Story 18. I am officially a cat person. I learned my lesson about dogs the hard way. I love them still, but taking care of them is hard work. Cats are independent. Story 19. I appreciate the love of other people's dogs and the independence of their cats, but I do not want any pets. Story 20. Cats. In my experience growing up with dogs and cats, although mostly cats to be fair, they have more intricate personalities. They can be more independent, but I wouldn't say they always are if you show them a lot of attention. That said, they are generally more comfortable being left alone for longer periods as long as they have access to food. I recently taught my cat to give a high five, which she loves doing now, and I am going to try some other tricks. It's not hard to train a cat, as many people think. They just need to be trained differently. Story 21. Why can't people like both? I grew up with cats and dogs, and they generally got along well. I liked them both in different ways. You cannot exactly take a cat for a walk in the woods, and dogs do not usually backflip off the refrigerator and act like it is natural. They are both cool. Story 22. I love both, but I generally do not have an interest in having a cat around and cannot live without a dog. I like petting my friends' cats, though. From my experience, dogs are much more personable and friendly. The cats I have had were adorable and cuddly at times, but otherwise tend to do their own thing and do not like to be bothered. Also, the litter box is unpleasant to me. My husky poops outside. Story 23. I am older and done with pets for now. I also think dogs are man's most amazing companion. However, I have always been a cat person. They wake up cranky next to cranky me, follow me downstairs, eat their breakfast, want 2 minutes of attention, and then you do not see them until bedtime. That is pretty much all I want from a pet. I am exaggerating, of course, but cats are much lower maintenance. If I leave for a week, I leave a bag of food open somewhere and ask someone to check in once or twice to make sure there is no trouble. Story 24. Definitely a cat person. I love other people's dogs, but their constant need for reassurance and attention is exhausting. My cats want my attention, but they also want their independence, and that works for me. My cats are snuggly, loving, and have such funny personalities. Story 25. Cats all the way. They are such easy animals to look after as they look after themselves. Funny, chaotic, very chill in some cases, and they do have some good health benefits. I can't not have a cat in the house. I just adore the company. Story 26. I have a sensitive nose, and all dogs smell the same to me. Therefore, I do not like dogs. Additionally, dogs love you unconditionally, but they all have similar personalities, which I find boring. Story 27. Definitely a cat person. I value quiet bonds and independence, and having a cat is very rewarding for that reason. Story 28. Cat. I find dogs really intense. I work a job where I am needed by others constantly. I want a companion who is calm, does their own thing, and also loves a snuggle. Story 29. Cats are mostly intelligent and low maintenance. Most cats will not be upset if you are gone for a few hours. Story 30. Cat. Don't get me wrong, I love dogs too. I just do not want one as a pet. They are so much work. They cannot be left alone for more than a couple of hours. They need walking every day, and they are noisy and smelly. Story 31. I love them both, but I am a born cat person. I am currently living with my 4th cat in my lifetime, my beautiful Lola Falafel, who was rehomed to me when she was about 2 years old, a year and a half ago. Story 32. Both are good, but it largely depends on your lifestyle. If you spend a lot of time at home or have a family, a dog is good for multiple reasons. This is not to say that cats are not beneficial. Cats tend to keep themselves occupied but are very kind and loving when they want to be. A key thing to remember is the difference. Humans domesticated dogs, but cats domesticated themselves. Story 33. I am an all-around person. I would have an alligator or a polar bear for a pet if I knew it would not try to eat me. Story 34. I am a cat person. I do not dislike dogs, but I have less affection for them except when they are puppies. After that, I really do not care about them. Cats are clean animals, which helps a lot in comparison to dogs. Story 35. Cats, hands down. They have a different energy. I'm not comfortable with all the barking, panting, and slobbering. Cats are quiet, subtle, entertaining, clean love bombs. I live in a condominium building that accepts pets. Most of my neighbors have dogs. I love saying hi to them and watching their enthusiasm while petting them. I also like saying goodbye, but at this point I feel like taking a shower. Story 36. Dog. Unconditional love. If I am feeling down, I go outside for 3 minutes and come back, and the dog is excited that I exist. There is always a reason to live because he exists. Motivation. He grounds me and makes me slow down and appreciate life. Whether it is tug time or a walk. Oh, the walks. No phone, just a disconnected time that focuses on me, him, and the world around us. Story 37. Both. Cannot pick one. If I hang around a cat, I am a cat person and want a cat. If I hang around a dog, I am a dog person and want a dog. Story 38. I have no qualms with cats. Even though I am allergic, I will go out of my way to pet a cat. That said, dogs 100%. The sheer variety of dog breeds, all colors, sizes, and personalities is remarkable. They are super useful for guidance, defense, hunting, companionship, and amusement. Story 39. Cats are killers that multiply like rats and turn my patio into a graveyard every spring with countless little bird corpses. Apart from the dead lizards. I am a dog person, always have been, and have had several dogs myself, including Sgatbeiser from Animal Welfare. A friend has a dangerous livestock guard dog from Romania, also from Animal Welfare. Comment. You're like Nikki. He was often with me when she went to work. Story 40. I was always a dog person. I have had dogs all my life. My daughter decided to get a dog. She had found a puppy she wanted and was bringing it home the next day. I came home from work, parked the car, walked up to the front door, and saw a very large black cat with half an ear missing sitting next to my front door, hissing aggressively. I managed to get past the cat into the house and was greeted by my daughter holding a little Labrador-type puppy. I said, "Okay, so that is the puppy, but what about the cat?" She calmly explained that they couldn't separate the puppy from its mother. The story was that the people who had the puppy lived next to a shopping center car park and sometimes fed this street cat. The cat had lost a litter in their backyard, so when they got the puppy, the cat adopted it. You couldn't access the puppy if the cat didn't like you. That was the reason my daughter brought home both the puppy and the cat. On the second day I came home from work, there was a large black cat sitting on my front steps with a large rat that she had killed. That is how we ended up with a very large black street cat who settled into my house. Her name is Missy. Story 41. Cat person for sure. I've been living with cats ever since I was born, and I can't imagine myself without a cat. I do love dogs too, and I would definitely consider getting a small lap dog like Cockapoo's. However, dogs have always scared me more since I was bitten by one as a kid. In the dog's defense, he was just playing. I also almost got attacked by a poorly trained pit bull. Cats are easier for me to understand and befriend because I am more accustomed to their behavior and mannerisms. Story 42. I am a dog person, but my wife's cats are attached to me wherever I go on the property. They follow and listen to me like dogs. In all honesty, I just do not like cats. My Labrador is attached to my wife all day, every day. She is not really a dog person at all. It is so weird, but everyone gets love, so in the end, I guess it works. Story 43. I prefer living with cats. They are generally quieter, cleaner, intelligent, sociable, and not as needy as dogs. However, I do love dogs too. They are just brilliant. Story 44. Cat person. Here's a quote from Christopher Hitchens explaining why owners of dogs will have noticed that if you provide them with food, water, shelter, and affection, they will think you are God. Whereas owners of cats are compelled to realize that if you provide them with food, water, and affection, they draw the conclusion that they are God. You have to earn the respect of a cat, and even then, it may not be rewarded. Dogs are easy, and easy is boring and predictable. Cats are interesting. Also, the purring, rubbing against you, chirping at birds, and how they clean themselves and do not need walks. So cute and so much easier to look after. Story 45. I've had cats and dogs. My cat, his real name was difficult, but he was my difficult cat. He loves ramen noodles and iced tea. My dogs are all goofballs. The biggest dog, damn it Dodge, loves cuddles and plush toys. He has a stuffed soccer ball that is at least 6 years old. He also loves children and has pulled me across PetSmart to meet them. He will sit and put his head down for them. Story 46. I understand that litter boxes can smell if not properly maintained, and cats do have a distinct scent. However, dogs can be unpleasant. I was dog sitting all week for my best friend. I love him, the dog and the friend, but every time I sat on the couch, there was a rush of dog-scented air around me. The couch smelled like a dog. He drinks from the bowl and spills saliva and water all over the floor. He pees outside, then walks through the puddle. When he licks me, I am covered in slobber. When my cat licks me, it is barely moist. Plus, my cat is gentle about it. A little lick on my hand is fine. Dogs will try to lick your face, which I find unpleasant. My cat has never tried to hump me when I bend over to fill their food dish. I took the dog for a walk in the rain, and everything smelled like wet dog for the rest of the day. I am comfortable with cats. I love all animals, but I will never get a dog for myself. Story 47. Dog person. Cats are very picky. The ones I have been around always bit or scratched me. They jump on furniture and counters and use couches as scratching posts. No, thank you. Story 48. I would not have pets at all if it were not for the children, except for cats because they are far less demanding. I refuse to join the 80% of dog owners who are really bad at it. Story 49. Cats for sure. I like dogs but have no desire to own one. They are loud, needy, and smelly. I dislike the jumping, barking, and not being able to leave for a weekend without finding someone to care for them. I am a foster volunteer for cats and kittens, and when asked if I would be willing to foster puppies as well, I said no. I enjoy being around dogs as long as they are well trained, but dog ownership is just not for me. Story 50. Dog person. I just felt cats were boring and definitely do not match my personality. Not that I do not like cats, but I just far prefer dogs. My puppy is my little adventure buddy, and he is super chill. Story 51. Neither. I like animals and they like me. Pets require effort and I am low effort. I have enough chores at home. I prefer other people's pets. That said, we do have a cat. He does his business outside, so we do not have a litter box. All we do is give him flea and tick medicine and feed him. He kills mice almost weekly because we live in the woods and tolerates the kids okay. Story 52. Cat person. I have had a few cats in my life. They adopted me. They invaded the house one day, I gave them food, and then they started living here. I have never had dogs, and I find them a little scary because they bark at me all the time. Story 53. I love most types of pets, including dogs, but when it comes to owning one, I am a cat person. Cats are easier to deal with when I have to go out, easier to secure housing when renting, and on average, they live much longer. Also, their love is not unconditional, which is a plus for me. When my cat is begging for attention, it truly wants my presence, not just always seeking it no matter what. Story 54. I was a dog owner for 13 years, but my dog passed away 10 years ago. It hurt me a lot. The day it happened, I promised myself I would not have a dog anymore. I grew up in Southeast Asia, where stray cats are everywhere. I started to love them day by day. I have been a cat owner for over 8 years, and I love them very much. So the answer is yes, I am a cat person. Story 55. Cat person. Dogs are too needy. I love how independent cats are and how they are not on you all the time. My wife has a Chihuahua with separation anxiety and has to touch her at all times. When we leave anywhere we cannot take him, we come back to whatever room he was put in covered in urine and feces. Dogs are ruined for me. Story 56. I like dogs, but I am definitely a cat person. They are more independent, much less high maintenance, and I tend to prefer their style of affection. Story 57. Dogs. I am high energy, and my dogs are high energy. I have nothing against cats except that I am allergic, but they are cool with me. I just prefer dogs. Story 58. Cat person. Easier to take care of, does not destroy most of my property, cuter in my opinion, did not maul me when I was 6. Story 59. We have 4 cats and a dog. I am a dog person who wanted to get laid in college. No one told me about the cat delivery service when I decided to put aside my cat allergies for her. Story 60. I do not hate cats. I hate the idea of having a litter box in my house. Other people's cats are usually pretty cool. I like big dogs but do not like small dogs. Story 61. I am very much an I love the cute, fluffy thing person, but I prefer cats. I used to think I was a dog person, but then I spent more time with other people's dogs and I got 2 of the best cats ever. I appreciate this may be down to the dog owners that I know, but dogs are so needy. They are sweet, but you constantly need to be around for them. You can't be out for more than a few hours, you have to get up to let them out, they need constant stimulation, and bark as soon as you stop. It's just a lot and it's so constant. In contrast, my cats are a perfect balance of aloof and needy. They love to explore our garden or sunbathe on the patio, but they also love to snuggle up with me on the sofa in the evening. I can go out all day and they don't really mind. They can go outside whenever they want. Story 62. I'm not against cats, but I prefer dogs. I do not like litter boxes and cat odors. I am also mildly allergic to some cat breeds. Having a dog is very convenient. My dog tells me when she needs to go outside to poop, then comes back inside. Story 63. I am a cat person, but the dog came with the girl. The same happened with the most recent dog. He is a good boy, but when he goes, a new kitten will be moving in. I feel we have missed more than a few adventures because we could not take the dog and did not want to put him in a kennel for a few days, whereas a cat can be quite content on its own for a few days with no problem. Story 64. Dogs. Cats can be vindictive. I don't like that you changed the brand name of my litter, so I'm going to urinate on your bath mat. Story 65. I have dogs, but I am actually a cat person deep down. Cats are pretty chill and much lower maintenance than dogs. I have dogs because my house is not cat-friendly. There are too many things they would love to push off shelves and break. Also, my husband is allergic. Story 66. Dogs are allergic to cat hair. Additionally, we know the earth is not flat because cats would have pushed everything off the edge by now. Story 67. I am more of a dog person because cats can love you 1 second and then be clawing you the next. Story 68. I always thought I was a dog person, but then I was adopted by a cat and became binary in that regard. Now, my cat has a human and a dog. Story 69. Both have their own value. Cats are low maintenance and calm pets, but correcting bad behavior is very difficult. They are hard to train. Dogs require more maintenance but are very rewarding if you put effort into their training. It is easier to achieve better behavior with dogs. It is easier for me to train my dog to respect my cats than to train my cats to respect my dog. Story 70. Dogs do not jump over other people's fences, kill wildlife, or urinate everywhere. Is this supposed to be acceptable? Cat owners are lazy pet owners. Why have a pet that you can simply leave out for the day and take no responsibility for what it is doing? Story 71. I thought I would be a dog person, but owning a dog in your 20s is hard if you want to be active. So, I have two cats and a parrot. Story 72. I have never gone more than a month or two without both a dog and a cat. My family had both when I was born, and my airway family did as well. When I moved out, I took my dog, and my boyfriend had a cat. While I had children, we always got a dog every 5 to 7 years and always had a few cats. The current cat is 17 years old and will not tolerate another cat. Our 16-year-old dog passed away last year. The current puppy is 6 years old, and I am torn. I do not dare adopt either right now because the cat is fragile. Story 73. Cats. I don't mind dogs at all. I'm just too lazy to take them out, carry a poop bag, and pick up after them. If they woke me up at night barking, I'd be annoyed. Dogs cause too much stress. Story 74. I don't dislike dogs. I get along with them really well. However, I have synesthesia and, unfortunately, the smell of dogs resembles the intense feeling of starvation, like intense, painful starvation. For that reason, I do not like being around dogs much. As for cats, I grew up around them and understand them quite well and their language. Story 75. Cats. I have an issue with sharp, loud noises and cannot stand them. So, yes, I am not the biggest fan of dogs. I wish I were, though. Story 76. Cat person. I do not dislike dogs. I get along with them really well. However, I have synesthesia, and unfortunately, the smell of dogs resembles the intense feeling of starvation, like intense, painful starvation. So I do not like being around dogs much for that reason. As for cats, I grew up around them and understand them quite well and their language. Story 77. Cat person. Negative experiences with untrained dogs left me exhausted at the prospect of owning one. Cats are easier to provide for and care for in apartments. Story 78. I am a cat woman. I like dogs in small doses, but I just cannot deal with all their waste. Honestly, more waste comes out of their bodies than food goes into their mouths. How can this be? Then there is having to pick it up on walks or from the garden lawn. At least cats bury their waste discreetly. Story 79. Cats. I have never had a dog bring me dinner and place it on the doormat like my cats do. They are so proud. Story 80. If you are truly invested in your relationship with your dog, he will probably learn everything you ask. My border collie is the best dog I have ever had. I love Jolie and Alex, but Jake is on a different level and truly another breed. Story 81. Dogs cannot stand cats, even the two my wife has in our house. They are filthy, destructive animals. Dogs are relaxed and come to you when you call, not just when they want. Story 82. Cats. Dogs require too much work to train, large spaces to exercise, and die after 10 to 14 years. While they will love you unconditionally, it is not like they will not do that. It is natural. To be clear, I have nothing against good dogs, but let us be fair, dog people are kind of insufferable. The types that think dogs are the true reincarnation of Jesus, and have tattoos, bumper stickers, throw pillows with the breed on them, and post pictures of their dog with an angel filter on social media 4 times a week. Cats come pre-trained, are nature's perfect killing machines, are much softer, and can live up to a quarter century with proper care, sometimes longer. Their purring has been scientifically proven to promote cellular healing. The vibration is at a frequency that encourages this. Studies continue into why. You have to earn their affection, which makes it all the more worth it. And I rarely find people who are super crazy about telling you how their cat is the second coming. To the contrary, most cat owners will readily admit they share their house with a furry little idiot, but it is their furry little idiot. Story 83. I grew up with cats, so I would say I was a cat person first. My wife is a dog person, so since getting married, we have always had both. I have definitely become a dog person too over the years. My current dog and cat both get along very well. The cat keeps her in line when she gets too rowdy. All she has to do is glare, and the dog immediately calms down. Typical conversation in my head. Dog. Hey cat. Want to play? Look at my ball. Cat. I don't care about the ball. Be quiet. Dog. Oh boy, you're looking at the window. Can I look too? Cat. Yes, if you are quiet and sit still. Dog, okay. Both sit and stare out of the window. Story 84. I love cats because they have healed me a lot over a long time. The important point is that they can take care of themselves, and it is easy and quick to clean their space just about 2 to 3 times a week. Story 85. The comments here are fascinating. It seems there are two types of people: those who love cats and hate dogs, and those who love dogs. I have had both dogs and cats. I started as a cat person but was converted to a dog person when I got married and my wife brought her poodle mix into my life. She was allergic to cats, so there was no choice. Over the decades, I really got to know and love our poodles, but I can still enjoy cats. I introduced my standard poodle Kate to our neighbor's cat Lucy and taught Kate how to behave around her. They became great friends. Over time, I realized that a dog's superpower is not their acute sense of smell, but rather their ability to make you fall in love with them. Story 86. I honestly cannot decide. We have 2 dogs and 1 cat. They are all affectionate. It is just easier to hold the cat. Story 87. I grew up a dog person, but my wife got me into having a cat. I like cats better. A dog will love you no matter what. A dog loves the person who mistreats it every day and gets excited to see you even if it should hate you. A dog's love really means less because of that. A cat, on the other hand, only tolerates your existence. When a cat comes to love you and gets excited when you get home from work, you truly earned that because cats don't naturally like people. When a cat sits in your lap for pets, that's a real relationship. It's hard to explain, and I still understand why people love dogs. I like both, but I prefer cats now. They also do not smell as much and are easier to take care of. Story 88. I thought I was a dog person. My parents used to breed and show German Shepherds back in the 1980s, and I participated in dog shows as well. In my adult life, I have owned several boxers, which are great dogs, but I have come to realize that cats fit my personality better. I have always had cats, along with dogs, birds, gerbils, and fish. Our house was filled with animals growing up. Cats are soothing, calm most of the time, and easier to maintain than dogs. I still have a 10-year-old boxer, and I love him dearly, but once he is gone, I will have no more dogs. I have 2 cats, and I am content. Story 89. I spent the majority of my life as a dog person but rescued a cat about 8 years ago, and then adopted another one 6 years ago. Now I'm a cat person. It's funny because I never knew much about cats growing up, but now that I have 2 of them and have spent all this time with them, I have learned so much. I think I was always meant to be a cat person. I just understand them better, and since then, I have moved away from ever wanting a dog again. Not that I don't like dogs, but I have a stronger connection to cats. Story 90. Having lived with and owned both for over 50 years, I would give a slight edge to dogs. Just my 2 cents below. I know if I get a golden retriever, I have a 99% probability that it will be the friendliest dog ever, not only to me but to everyone she meets. It will love me unconditionally. However, there are downsides to dogs. I cannot leave the house for a weekend and put out enough food and water without having someone let her out several times a day. If I get a cat, and I have had dozens throughout my life, they are hit or miss on whether they will be friendly. In my opinion, it is about a 50-50th chance either way. There are probably lower odds that she would like everyone she meets. Cats just seem less trusting of unknown people. However, cats can be the most snuggly animals, and when they connect with their owner, they can be just as friendly as dogs. Also, cats are more independent. You can be gone for 2 or 3 days, and if properly prepared, they can be left alone. If you need to be gone longer, you can simply have a friend refill food and water and clean the litter box. If I travel a lot, I would get a cat. If I am home a lot, I would get a dog. Story 91. Dog for sure, but I have a huge bias due to allergies. They definitely seem to form a closer protective bond with people, probably because of their pack instinct. Story 92. I like cats because they require less maintenance than a dog. You only have to feed them, give them water, and provide a fresh litter box, along with some tender loving care. With a dog, you have to walk it regularly and manually pick up their waste. Even if your hands are shielded by a bag, you can still feel the unpleasant mass. I am not really an outdoorsy person, so you need to be physically active to own a dog. Story 93. I have had cats and dogs throughout my life. I would always choose a dog over a cat. Cats require less maintenance, but you do not get the same loyalty and love from a cat that you do from a dog. Every dog I have had would put its life on the line for me. I can only say that about one cat I have had. I am not criticizing cats. They can be great. I just believe you get a lot more from having a dog. Story 94. I like both, but prefer cats. Dogs are unpleasant. They delight in the nastiest things, like rolling in roadkill. Dogs will literally eat waste. I have had and been around both cats and dogs in my more than 50 years. Story 95. Cats judge you based on how they perceive you. Dogs judge you based on how you perceive yourself. I do not really like myself, so it is nice when someone else does. Story 96. Dogs love you unconditionally. Cats only like you at feeding time. Dogs will let you pet them as much or as little as you want. Cats will let you pet them twice before they bite you. Story 97. Dogs are much better in many ways, with being good companions for walks as the most obvious one. Apologies to cat lovers, but they are just not my preference. Story 98. I like dogs because they let me rub them and play, but cats run away, so I have to be gentle when petting them. Story 99. I love all animals, but I prefer dogs. I have enough difficult people in my daily life and do not need one more at home. Story 100. I'm a cat person, but asking why is a pretty difficult question. It's not as if I chose to be a cat person while someone else, after reading the evidence, decided to like dogs. If I tell you the things I like about cats, I'm probably really telling you things about myself. I'm not a dog person, but I can see it's a wonderful thing for those who are. I've known one or two dogs of friends that I was fond of. I have a feeling that misconceptions about cats are more common than about dogs because they're harder to observe unless you are already a cat person and they know you. The idea that cats don't love you is misguided, but it's true that you get out what you put in some ways. If you only want a limited relationship with a cat, the cat is fine with that. He can get on with his life. But someone who relates to their cat like that then concludes that their interest is only practical. Story 101. Dog. I get to take him with me everywhere and go on little adventures with him. I really enjoy training them as well. To be fair, I am a single man who lives alone, so I usually take on larger dogs with behavior issues instead of getting a puppy. They usually end up enjoying the training, and there is no better feeling than seeing them turn from a bad dog into a good, well-trained one. Story 102. I always get blocked when trying to post in AskReddit because my questions are not elaborate enough, and then I see low-quality posts like this one. Story 103. Judging by the research into toxoplasmosis, I do not think anyone should like cats. Cats are the worst animals to become pets in our history. Thank God these animals sleep most of the time. This minimizes their damage. Story 104. I do not understand why people want animals living in their house with them. They leave hair everywhere and make a mess. Plus, you have to clean up their waste. I do not understand people walking around picking up dog waste or living with a box of cat waste in their house. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.